Reimagining Success, episode 172. You're listening to Reimagining Success, the podcast where we help you reimagine your future, designing a life and career beyond the 9 to 5 that allows you the freedom, flexibility and fulfillment that you've been dreaming of. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg. Now, let's get started on those dreams. Hey there, and welcome back to the Reimagining Success podcast. Today I want to talk to you about swallowing your pride, swallowing your ego. And this is a big one. It's a big one for me, and I know it'll be a big one for at least some of you, if not many or most of you. So I'll start with a confession because it always helps to be vulnerable yourself. And I hope you can bring that same energy as you listen, because it might be a little bit triggering, some of the things I say. When I sign up to business coaching programs, so of course I see the value of coaching, mentoring, consulting, whatever you want to call it. And I've had various versions of that along the way. In the past, and even now, because I'm going to say it's still the case, I hesitate to be vulnerable, to raise my hand, to admit, hey, I'm not yet earning this amount, or right now I'm not earning that amount, or this hasn't been working, I haven't been able to do that, which is ridiculous because the whole point of working with a coach, paying to work with an expert to join that program, or even to follow someone for free, right, is actually to be open to their advice, if they offer advice, to ask for help, to allow yourself to be coached, to get that help, to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to open up to those difficult questions and to find some insightful answers. Now, in part for me, the discomfort, I guess, comes because I'm meant to know it all, right? As experts ourselves, we're supposed to be credible experts. We're supposed to know everything about everything. So we couldn't possibly say that, this isn't quite working for me. Oh, I'm having arguments with my partner right now, or I'm not being the best mum, or actually I've not been doing my fitness regime, or I'm not getting the clients I want, or this workshop flopped, or that program, etc. Now, actually, I do share those things in my smaller groups within my coaching for my paid clients. So there is an element of that vulnerability, but there is still that hesitation to, in a more public forum, go, hey, I'm joining this challenge. I'm not yet there. That's why I'm here, obviously. And it's a shame because I miss human connection. I miss opportunities to learn and so on. So that's something I work on. Now, in another area of my life, I want to share a better example or at least an insight as to what is possible. So I'm working with a fitness coach. And in fact, I started working with her, I think it was May last year. And this is now February, I'm recording this. So, it's almost coming up to a year, and we are going to keep chipping away until May is our plan. And then we're going to sort of settle into more of a maintenance phase. But here's the thing, working with a personal trainer, a nutritionist, a fitness coach, it's not that I don't know what to do. I have read a lot. I can lecture you for hours on what you need to eat, how to eat well. I know everything about macros and exercise, and I've done so many fitness videos online, and I know HIIT, and I've done a lot of running, and I've read, and I've educated myself. And no, I'm not a qualified, certified expert. I'm not teaching other people, but I know I have the information I need. And it's very hard then to raise your hand and say, hey, I'd like someone's help. However, in partnering with Hannah, my fitness coach, I've now done things I never thought were possible. And best of all, it's been easy and super fun. So I've reached my, I want to say dream weight, actually. We set that goal initially. It was a weight that I had, 10 plus years ago when I was living my best life in my 20s in Geneva, and I've reached that weight and we're going a little bit further. I'm not saying, and I'm sorry if this is triggering for anyone, I'm not saying that it's about weight, and I'm always very reluctant to share, the before and after pictures and so on, because it's not about that. But the truth is that for me, at least, that number has meaning to it, and it is a metric that I can use to see if I'm on track where I want to be. More importantly than that is that I'm feeling fitter and stronger than ever before. I'm exercising regularly. I'm taking way more steps, just walking, essentially, moving more. I'm really prioritizing the exercise, the running. I'm doing some yoga and many other aspects of self-care and so on. I've learnt more about food and things. I used to eat very healthily, but just too much, for example. And that's, something that I guess I didn't admit to myself, at least. So the point I'm making here is it's not that I didn't know. And it can be embarrassing and it can feel like a waste of money to pay someone to help you with something, because I should know, I can do it. And yet there's something clearly that stopped me for the last 10 years from getting there. And now, again, it's been easy. It's been fun. I've been part of a group, speaking of group dynamics, and I've loved it. And I'm so happy. And it's such a valuable investment. I'm going to continue with that for the foreseeable future. Coming back to business coaching, it's people who show up. It's the people in my programs, for example, who join every call, who ask the questions, who check in on the weekly, these are my goals for the week. These are my wins at the end of the week, who join the free workshops, who listen to the podcast episodes, who do everything. And I don't mean do everything. That sounds very overwhelming, but they show up. They make the most of what's available to them. They ask questions, they admit where they have gaps, and they work to fill them. They're being vulnerable, they're opening up, and they're the ones who are going to learn. They're the ones who are going to learn how to fill those gaps to ultimately get results. And so I really admire them. And that's what we all need to channel. We need to go, hang on a second, you know what? Yes, I could do it myself. And we'll talk about this again in a couple of episodes. And yes, I'm incredibly competent and smart and capable, and I can advise others. And yes, I know a whole lot, and I can certainly advise, based on the many years now I've been experiencing and learning and researching and coaching and so on. There is almost always more that we can learn. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a weakness to admit that. And by the way, funnily enough, but I heard another coach saying recently that coaching doesn't have to be remedial. It's not just when you have a problem. Athletes don't just have a coach when they have an issue. They have a coach always, right? Leaders don't these days only work with coaches when they have a performance issues. People at the top recognize now that they'll get so much further faster with the help of others. So coaching, working with mentors, this can really help to stretch you further, to work towards goals you might not even have admitted that you had. So it's not just for when you have problems. So actually choosing to work with somebody, one of the girls in my group wanted to firm up her bum and get better glutes or whatever the goal was, something that I've never even thought about, getting a bigger bum she wanted, right? But hey, she had an amazing body before and now she's got the bigger bum she wanted. So, there are silly example there, but coming back to the training fitness example, and maybe you're already super happy in your business. You know what? I've got the clients, it's going well. And yet coaching can still be a worthwhile investment. So just to challenge your thinking a little bit on that. So what does swallowing your pride, swallowing your ego mean? So I've said, it means asking for help. It means admitting you need help, you want help, admitting where you perhaps have a weakness or a blind spot. It means getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. We talk about getting out of your comfort zone a lot. That's part of the core of my concept. It means asking questions. As I said, it means putting yourself out there, as we say, right? Sharing on social media, perhaps talking about your story and what you're learning, what you've learned. It means, yes, taking some risks. It means allowing for the possibility of no. That's a huge one. I don't know about you, but I tend to hold myself back. Unfortunately, again, it's something I'm working on. If I think the answer might be no, because we're afraid of rejection. And yet, if we can show up every day and remove that emotion from it and just, put it out there. Oh, this person said no, not to worry, on to the next one. The right people will say yes. That's so much more powerful. And not to take those things personally, that's part of it as well, because it's my ego that doesn't want to be damaged. That's keeping me small, right? That's keeping me from showing up as I should be. So I think I'll leave it there for now. Do have another listen, because I think there's quite a few important insights in there. I've given a few examples. I'm sure you can think of others when you have worked with somebody in the past, when you have, had that moment of vulnerability, shared a story, and that's allowed for that deeper human connection. It's allowed you to get perhaps some unexpected help to shine a light on something that you weren't aware of, to move forwards in ways that you hadn't even imagined. So swallowing your pride, swallowing your ego. This applies, by the way, to relationships, to being vulnerable with your partner. It applies to friendships. And it certainly applies, again, in business. You know, there are so many memes and things on social media, you know, failure is a stepping stone to success. And, you know, you only see the tip of the iceberg. You only see the successes, the book that they've published, the TED Talk. You don't see the 10 years of struggle, of failed programs. You know, you see their successful, famous money-making scheme, but you don't see the 15 failed launches before that and so on, right? So again, as ever, it's sort of focusing on your own race and not getting distracted by other people, but allowing yourself to be on that learning journey, to know that you're never finished learning, to still recognize and be confident about your expertise and what you do know, and that you're an incredible, capable person, expert, business owner. And even so, there are opportunities to learn, to make mistakes, and that's okay. That's part of it. And to find a way to make that fun, to find a way to get the help, and to not be on that roller coaster of always taking it so personally, because that, my friends, is stressful. If we're really allowing our entire identity to be based on how many people show up to our workshop, or if that client buys after we have the chat or not, and so on, that's just a recipe for disaster. So I'll leave you there. This idea of swallowing your pride, swallowing your ego. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As ever, you can obviously contact me on any social platform where you're following me, or you can email me at podcast@onestepoutside.com as well. And looking forward to continuing this kind of train of thought, as it were, in the coming weeks as well. But swallowing your pride, swallowing your ego, I think is an important one for many of us, especially in that transition from, you know, high-paid, high-flying corporate job, having that title and prestige of the company and so on, perhaps, and then going out on your own. It can be a bit of a rough landing. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. See you next week.
Are you ready to build and scale your business to achieve everything you dreamed of when you started, without sacrificing your personal life and your sanity to do so? The truth is that escaping the 9-to-5 is not just about saying, I quit, to your boss, or putting up a website and ordering a set of business cards. A sustainable escape requires you to design and build a viable business that consistently brings in income and that fits in around the other priorities in your life. Join us in the Outsiders Business Accelerator to get ongoing coaching, training, and mentoring to help you create a long-term brand and business that works for you. Read more and apply at onestepoutside.com/accelerate. That's onestepoutside.com/accelerate.